Alright guys, Vol here. I'm at the Archenemy tournament in West Auckland, which is a new Warhammer tournament which we've just started doing at a new gaming club, which is really just run by locals. It's not run by any sort of established gaming circle that's been around for years and years, but more of a sort of a newer group of people that have come together, often playing Magic the Gathering and other games at this club, but now Warhammer Fantasy as well. And just going to take you through my usual tour of just giving you a general idea of which armies have shown up. There has been a bit of a comp system for this this tournament, but I won't talk about it in too much detail. It's Warhammer at 2,400 points. All of these armies are at 2,400 with 8th edition. And this is Sam's army. He's Bretonians. He's got a full mounted army with no war machines, no trebuchet, or even any peasants or anything. I played this guy once at a tournament earlier in the year in 7th edition and actually lost. I played quite badly and he played fairly well, so props to him. And I haven't run into him into the tournament. I'm just sort of giving you this overview at the end of the second day, by the way. Have played 3 games so far, and he wasn't one of them. Next image shows you the army that I've actually taken to the tournament. As you can see, it's got a big unit of 50 Marauders, and sometimes I deploy them, as you see here, just facing forward in a big bus. Other times I deploy them in horde formation. On the left, I've got a unit of Chaos Warriors with full command group, Halberd's Mark of Khorne. On the right, unit of Chosen with the same sort of thing, but with the champion in the favour of the gods, obviously. 2 units of Hounds. I've got a unit of 7 Knights of Tzeentch with a Banner of Rage. Exalted Hero on Juggernaut with a Great Weapon and Golden Eye of Tzeentch. Dawnstone. I've got a BSB on Horse with Luckstone and Armour of Damnation and a Flail. I've got a level 4 Sorcerer on foot with a Necrotic Phylactery and Infernal Puppet. I've got a Chaos Lord on foot, Mark of Tzeentch, Talisman Preservation, so 3+ ward save, and a Great Weapon, and not pictured in this photo, a War Shrine. I actually feel that I've made a few mistakes in the list building. I mean, obviously I haven't got a Hell Cannon. That was just going to be the same from the get-go. I don't really like taking the most powerful option and easiest option. I try to, tone away with that a little bit if I can. One thing that I would do differently next time is switch from Lore of Heavens to Lore of Shadows, because Lore of Heavens is a more useful lore, but Lore of Shadows is a more decisive lore, and I just keep coming across those situations where my opponent's got something in their army which I just really struggle to deal with, and Shadows would be the answer a lot of the time. I think the Chaos Lord on foot doesn't really need to be a Lord. It's cool to have Leadership 9, but I think I could get away with just an Exalted on foot with Great Weapon, an extra unit of Knights in there instead of the character, and just little bits and pieces like that. Probably tone down the Marauders back to about 30 or 40 guys, to be honest, and take more other stuff. Next photo, Derek's Lizardman list. Derek's been playing Lizardman 8th fairly frequently, and mixed success. Haven't played him in 8th yet, but looking forward to giving him a game sometime. He's got a lot of Saurus, as you can see, even some Croc scores, so that's quite cool, and everybody loves his turn marker there with the little spidery, not so much spider hand, skeleton hand. Next image, this is Daryl's Dwarves. We've seen Daryl up against my Skaven a few times in practice, even once with Warriors of Chaos. I have done well against Daryl in the past, but, it's all about dice rolls, this game. A little bit of skill in there as well, as you know, but it's all up to fate a lot of the time. Daryl's actually done very well to finish painting his dwarf army, and Daryl actually pointed me towards a department store in town where you can actually get little cake riser things, which he's used for his unit filler over there. I'm going to be using those extensively in my High Elf and Empire armies for 8th edition when I eventually get those cracking, but that's a few months down the track. Next image, this is Daniel's Tomb King's army. I played against him in the previous 8th edition tournament, which of course there were no photos for. Just a bit about that, by the way, guys. If you didn't read my earlier reports, I came 9th at Fields of Blood, New Zealand, out of about 37 people. This was 8th edition with a similar Warriors of Chaos list, and Dan was one of my opponents. Luckily, I did very well against Dan to beat him in the second round. Next image, this is some of Scott's Orc and Goblin army, just to give you an idea of sort of Orcs and Goblins participating in the tournament now. Plenty of War Machines, plenty of Fanatics, plenty of heroes on foot. Is generally the way to go with Orcs. They're actually pretty formidable in 8th. Next image, this is an Empire army, the only Empire army at the tournament, not really painted just yet, but you've got plenty of infantry, even some Knights, some War Machines, a fairly average, all-roundish sort of list. I think this is the sort of list that can do well in 8th if your generalship is awesome. I think this guy's a little bit of a newer player, so I'm not too sure if he's doing that well at the tournament, but hopefully he does enjoy himself and has some success, because this is quite a cool, classy army in my books. Next image, this is Noel's Auckland Goblin army, which he's thrown together for the tournament. Quite like his sort of wooden pump wagons there. Probably the most funny thing about his army is he's actually got a goblin hero with that map item that makes him a scout. So quite interested to hear about how he does with that little scout after the tournament. Next image, this is Josh's Chaos army. I managed to beat Josh in practice, Chaos versus Chaos, but that was previous to the previous tournament. I think Josh has actually kept the same list that he used in Fields of Blood, which is the previous one, and has just rolled on up with this one. He's got a Hell Cannon, he's got Chosen but with no War Shrine, and he's got a Hero and Jugger with different equipment than I've given. He's even got Dragon Ogres. Next image, this is Nikolai Jasek with his Warriors of Chaos. Very powerful list, because he's got a War Shrine and a Hell Cannon. That War Shrine is in the shape of a Stegodon, by the way. He's got Chosen with Market Cinch and Hellbirds, which is quite cool. He's got Chaos Warriors with Great Weapons and Market Cinch. And he's got 2 units of Marauder Fast Cav. He's got plenty of heroes. A Lord on foot, a Exalted on foot, 2 Sorcerers on foot. The only little weakness in his army is that he's not taken a level 4 Sorcerer, so his magic isn't really as good as everybody else's, but he can get Gateway, and he can get, he has got Puppet. Next image, this is Russell's High Elf army. Some of it donated to him, but Russell doing alright in the tournament so far, I believe. He's got a dragon in it, so one of the few armies with a dragon altogether. Quite keen to see how his dragon goes. Next image, this is Brian's ghouls and vampires army here. You might have seen him playing against me in the previous battle report that I posted on my YouTube page. If you want to know about that, just go check it out. Next image, this would be Rob's Demon Army. What Rob's done is actually taken the exact same list that won the previous tournament here in New Zealand and just tweaked it by removing some Demonettes, adding some horrors in instead, but essentially running the same list. And I think that's a clever thing to do. If you know it's going to work, no reason why not to take something like that. I actually am a fan of list copying. I think that if you understand how a good player is using his list, no reason why you shouldn't take a similar list yourself. Next image, Aaron Peterson joining us with Skaven. Aaron hasn't really got a lot of models together, but this is a no painting score tournament, so you can show it with unpainted models and not take a penalty for it. So that's why a lot of people are getting away with interesting armies they wouldn't try before. So props, though, that he's got this army on the field. It's looking pretty cool. It's looking like there's a lot of hard choices in there, so I'm sure he'll do well. Next image, Nick's Wood Elf army, not really deployed for photographs, but me and Nick had a practice game a couple of nights ago before the tournament, and Nick smashed me. I had a bit of bad luck with reserve rolls and so forth in the actual mission, but slightly outplayed and paid the price. I got crushed, Warriors of Chaos versus Wood Elves, so well done to Nick. Next image, this is Ryan's Demon Army. We all thought Ryan was going to be taking Orcs and Goblins, but he's gone with Demons after all. Quite a powerful Demons Army, despite the fact that in 8th edition you can't have Regeneration and Ward Saves at the same time. You have to choose one or the other. But he's still got the Great and Clean ones, still got the really powerful blocks of Nurgle. Just great in 8th, and big unit of Furies. He's got Horrors, he's got Nurgling bases as well. He's got, obviously, level 4 guy with the Lore of Nurgle, but he's got a level 2 with the Lore of Life. So I think that's quite cool for the sort of list, with regrowth and giving wounds back to characters and things makes it very powerful. So yet again, Ryan really understanding how to take a quite a nasty list and doing the best he can with it. Next image, this is Paul Davison's Skaven list. Quite a funky Skaven list. It's got some tough choices, but not the sort of optimal tournament choices you always see. He's got Rat Ogres and Plague Sense Bearers in reasonable sized numbers. He's got Clan Rats and Scaves aplenty. He's got the Helpet Abomination, all the other normal stuff you'd see, BSB Gracier and all that. So he's got the tools. Next image, this is Tommy, who's one of the actual club regulars at this particular club. It's a bit of a lesser-known club, and Tommy's just getting his Warhammer army together. He hasn't been, working on it for too long so far, but I'm looking forward to see how it turns out. Got a lot of Skaven here, using some pretty big units. Next image, this is Ryan Simister's Chaos Army. He's been using this for quite some time now, nearly a year I think, and it's looking great. In fact, this gets my vote as the best painted army at the tournament, just since there's not that many people participating, and because there's no paint score at the tournament, a lot of people showed up with half-assed sort of armies, but Ryan has really actually worked on his quite a lot over the last year, and it's looking fantastic. Ryan doesn't have a Hell Cannon in his army, but everything else there is pretty solid. He's got Knights, Warriors, Marauders, a big healthy mix and balance. By the way, that Shoggoth is actually a unit filler. It's not actually part of, not actually a monster, I believe. Next image shows you a bit more of a close-up, just because he's done such a good job on the detail here, at least from a distance. So that's his Chaos Lord and Sorcerer and BSB in the unit as well, mind you. Next image, Simon's Lisbon, which obviously he'll be going really well with in this tournament. 2 Stegodons not pictured, but he's got the Slann, and he's got an Old Blood on foot with the Stubborn item, which makes his unit stubborn, so he doesn't have to put the Temple Guard in there. He just needs his unit of Saurus with that character and that item, and he's fine. So way to go. I think it's quite a strong, well-chosen list, and Simon's quite an experienced player, so that's what I'd expect of him. And that's essentially it. I hope you guys enjoyed this overview. I'll be showing you some battle reports of the actual event coming up next.